The Great Missouri Flood of 2011 is nothing like any other that states along the Missouri River have ever experienced. Starting in June of 2011, emergency releases from the upper reservoirs swelled the Big Muddy out of her banks, causing many miles of closures on northwest Missouri highways. Unlike other historic floods that rose and fell within weeks, this time the water flowed continuously over and in many cases under northwest and Kansas City area highways for months. Entire sections of shoulder, pavement, and foundation were washed away in some areas. By early 2012, some roads were still closed because roadbeds were destroyed by flooding. The flood of 2011 will be remembered for many reasons. Besides the incredible damage to roads and immense inconvenience to travelers from the sustained timeline, this flood cost Missourians millions of dollars in highway damages, as well as loss of homes, changes in lifestyle, and in one specific instance, loss of life.
The unique thing about this flood was that all the water, over 90% of the water, came directly down the Missouri River from the Gavins Point Dam in South Dakota. So for 3 to 4 months that we were flooded, actually closer to, we were actually over 4 months of flooding, we had pure water coming down the Missouri River only. We had no rain that came through that flooded any of the side streams, any of the feeder creeks or rivers. So you didn't get anything but pure water coming right down the Missouri River. That made it really unique because what it did was deposited tons of sand everywhere it drifted. As it went through and busted through the levees, it poured sand through all these farmers' fields. No debris from, usually from side river flooding or feeder creeks, you'll get all kinds of debris and organic material and dark stuff that actually can help farmers' fields after flooding. It's a normal cycle. This was not. This was so unusual because it all came through the dam up in South Dakota.
There was a 500-foot long stretch that had a 40-foot deep scour hole cut through it. So Phelps City along 136 was just an island. And we got out there on Sunday, September 11th, and on an airboat that the railroad let us hitch a ride on, and got to evaluate the pavement. There was lots of places where the 1 or 2 lifts of asphalt were just popped off the top of the roadway. And on the downstream side, the shoulders were scoured out, sometimes as much as 4 feet deep, just completely washed out where the water had churned as it went over the top of the pavement there. When we have a deep trench along the edge of the road where our shoulder used to be, even if the roadbed is still sound and could carry cars, maybe a little bit bumpily, we can't let any traffic on there in a condition like that, because if they were to leave the roadway, we just don't have a safe condition for them to depart from the roadway on.
The current was amazing just to watch it. We would, stand there and watch them dump the rock in, and we're talking boulders the size of car hoods just disappearing, just plain out of sight. And you can't imagine that happening until you're there witnessing it yourself. Just whole loads of rock just going away and just never to be seen again. It's just like, where is it going? How many loads is it going to take before we start seeing progress on this?
The other thing that sets this flood apart is we set new records for the amount of the height of the river. So it exceeded the old river heights of any previous flood. So it inundated more land. It flooded cities that were never flooded in the past in floods. And because it left sand behind, everyone will remember that when you drive out there, all you see is sand. We actually had sand dunes. When the wind blows, it creates sand dunes like you're in a beach along the ocean. We've never seen anything like that. It's such a fine sand that came out of the bottom of the river, and since it wasn't mixed with any dirt or organic or trees or any kind of debris, when the wind blows, that sand moves, just like sand dunes. We actually have sand dunes. It's amazing. You would never experience. You try to walk through it, it's hard to walk because it's just pure sand.
MoDOT set a goal to have its flooded routes open as quickly and safely as possible by the end of 2011. because the department was able to work innovatively using both internal and external crews and partnering with local and state law enforcement and other groups, this was a successful outcome for all involved. Travelers in northwest Missouri are happy to have most of the flooded routes repaired and open, but it will be a while before the flood of 2011 is forgotten. The effects of such a devastating natural disaster will be felt for years to come.